When Raymond Charles Barker said, "Do what you love and the money will follow," what he didn't say was how far behind you it would be. What he meant was every now and then you need to stop, let it catch up, or just sit there and say, "Excuse me, I've been waiting a long time." So every night when I go to bed, I do some affirmative prayer and whatever. And Saturday, my affirmative prayer is, will I be able to do Sunday? What will I do? And I get the most amazing talks on Saturday night. And I try to remember them Sunday morning to see if I can do any of them. But one of the metaphors that I got last night was, if we did an MRI of you, of your entire body, no place in your entire body would there be money. There wouldn't be any bills or coins. There would be you. That's all there is in the MRI. Now that's really an interesting thing though, because we think that somehow money and us have become one. The truth is that prosperity, as we really know it, lives between your ears, not between the folds of your billfold, not between your purse and you. It doesn't live in your account, it lives between your ears. What else lives between your ears is what Judith was talking about, which are all of the beliefs that you have about whether money can come to you and stay with you and be used by you and become a vehicle for creative things that you want to have happen in your life, and whether money could be part of making a difference in the world, or whether money is simply money. Now, money is a complicated thing, and I say that because it has become so much a part of the fabric of daily living that we have fused it with ourselves without even realizing it. If you came here today, you probably came by car. You used money to buy the car. You bought car insurance. You bought gasoline for the car. You bought clothes that you wear to come here. Whether you came here or not had to do with whether you had enough money to be able to take time off from work or not have to work, or had a job that didn't allow you to come here. There are lots of things that money does that harbor limitation as well as possibility. And unfortunately, because it's so woven into our daily living, if we're not careful, we actually think we are money. And so we wake up, how many of you have ever said, I'm so poor? As opposed to, my finances are in a poor state. We personalize it to the point where I am so poor, or I am rich, or I have, rather than the abundant world around us is mine to pick and choose and to enjoy and benefit from. But I am not that. Because as soon as I become that, I also run the risk of losing that. When you become wealthy because you have money, you become poor when you don't have it. If you're wealthy as a person, as a consciousness, as a human being, how much money you have will determine a lot of things that you can and can't do. But it will not define you. And so part of what I want to talk about today was not allowing money to define you, but allowing yourself to have your own definition of you, to define yourself in a way that allows you to use money to forward you, not block you. What some people that I have known have done is they have lived in poverty. They've had money, but they've lived in poverty. And how they've lived in poverty is, if I have a conversation with them, they would say things like, well, you know, if I had more money, you know, what would you do? Oh, first off, I'd quit my job. What would you then do? I'd go to the beach every day for the rest of your life. Well, no, but I would do other things too. I would drink a lot more because I wouldn't have to worry about getting sober on Monday, that's for sure. And I would have more fun, and I'd have the biggest screen television, and I'd have. And at what point would that stop? Oh, I don't know. I mean, I've never had all these things. I guess isn't life about having all these things? And the answer in my mind would be, no, it never was. You know, I noticed when I got a larger screen television with higher definition, which I love, I have one similar to this. It's just a little bigger than this, 4K, which means it has far more lines and distinctions and clarity. Programs are the same. Didn't you think that I got a better TV, I'll have better programs, the actors will do a better job, the sound, yeah, no. The same thing with my iPhone. In fact, when I got my iPhone, I listened to it and I watched it. It was really a great phone. I went to the AT&T and I said, I'm having trouble with my iPhone. And the young man, quite young, looked at me and thought I was quite old. Tell me what's wrong. And I said, well, when I got this phone, I thought I would get a better quality of caller. And he said, Oh, I don't know. I'll have to go back and I'll have to. I don't know what's. And the manager was standing behind him, who happened to be older, and who actually was listening. And he said, "Well, is there anything else wrong?" And I said, "Yes, I'm not able to control the signal lights." I thought for sure I could get more green lights. At which point his voice got louder, because he knew I was at that point obviously deaf. Because when you're older, you're deaf. And then he, in a very, very condescending, "We're going to look into this." At which point the manager just patted him on the shoulder and said, "It's okay, just leave." I can understand. So much of life is not about money, it's about having fun. It's about creating, it's about allowing yourself to show up wherever you are and seize the moment. We're not so good at seizing the moment. We kind of like thinking about seizing the future if it would go the way we would like it to go. I'm thinking about having a really good life. Wow, what are you going to do? I bought the lottery ticket. Some of my numbers were close to some of their numbers, you know. should win, you know. What we're doing is we're living off the good feeling we have without actually doing anything. So what we often do is we massage a dream until the dream has been massaged to the point where it's limp and it can't do anything any longer, and then we walk away and get another one. As opposed to the dream is the foundation on which you have to build. As Judith was saying earlier, treat, meaning imagine, see it, feel it, sense it, know it, and move in that direction. If you can't see it, you can't sense it, you can't feel it, you can't have it. Even if it's in front of you, you can't have it. Everywhere you look, there is creative possibility. There are things that you can make in your mind that you could never thought you could make. Everywhere, all the time, and you didn't even think about it because too often we're spending our time imagining having a life later when we have time for it. You know, I'll have a vacation in, I think, June or July, and I guess then for 2 weeks I will have a life. Won't that be exciting? Yeah. And then for the first 3 days of the vacation, you're thinking, when does it catch up with me? When does the vacation actually start? Wherever you are, there are things you can see that you can pay attention to. Now, if you want a person that does this in your life that you can learn from, you won't believe this, but it's true. Ellen DeGeneres. She's able to see the smallest, most infinitely tiny little thing and play with it and have fun with it. I was thinking about her today, and as I came in and I saw a fake owl. They have an owl sitting up here in the rafters because they know that they would have pigeons if they didn't have that fake owl. And I imagined all of the pigeons getting together and erecting a fake pigeon. And the owl endlessly looking at the fake pigeons, and the fake pigeon looking back, and them having a standoff, and then one day the pigeons bring another pigeon. And then another day the owls bring another owl. And then eventually this is just a habitat for artificial animals. See, what I'm saying is you can take anything you want to and play with it and have fun with it and imagine where you'd like to go with it. You can do that with money too. You can imagine yourself having fun with it, creating with it, and having a better life with the use of it than if I had it, what would I do with it? Now, thank God I can pay my bills. We have reduced money to a thing that has more pain connected to it than joy. What we really need to do is to connect our heart and our soul to everything there is. My computer is the most generous toy I've ever had, because it's a place I can play. Is money a place you can play? If you have $5 that you haven't got committed to something, find a way to play with it. Find somebody to give $1 to. Find a way to buy a cup of coffee for a person that you don't know, because that's play. Not generosity, not because you were told in a class that you should do this because it would increase your income. No, do you do it because, well, that would be fun. I love the expression on that person's face when they come in or when they see that happening. You're living with the experience of creating as you go, and then money will come because there'll be places for you to go that money will be required for you to have. Wouldn't that be fun to have more of that? And don't be surprised if it doesn't always work. Judith, in her generous spirit, bought us tickets to see, who was it? Billy Joel, a concert, Billy Joel concert. A tribute. Tribute concert. Tribute's an operant word here. And the person who was doing the tribute was probably past his time of tribulation. We went and we sat with all of our fellow people that live in Country Village, and the auditorium's been all redone. They've got all brand new sound equipment. They don't have anybody who actually has an engineering experience that knows how to set it up. So when the person began singing, we couldn't hear him, but we could hear the drums. And we could hear the instruments that were imitating horns, but weren't horns. And at the second cut, second song, Judith turned to me and she said, "Do you want to go?" That was $30. We spent money for this. We drove over to the parking lot. We walked the distance. We walked the 2 flights of stairs. That's why we're exercising. We need to get in better shape. We did everything right. We put our heart and soul into this. This is going to be our Billy Joel experience together after 31 years of marriage. And it failed. It was terrible. So we went home. We sat in the 2 chairs that we sit in, turned on the television, didn't turn on the lights. Who wants lights after that kind of a failure? Went on the internet, on my big screen television, the one that has a 4K. I won't go into that, but it's wonderful. Put on our headphones and called up on the internet, on YouTube, a Billy Joel concert. And watched a Billy Joel concert, the real thing. Followed by Cher doing a concert, followed by, we sat there until 11:30 at night just watching one wonderful performance after another, none of which we would have watched had we not spent $30 for the tickets that were for a performance that wasn't worth watching. Isn't that interesting? We could have gone and simply said, "I can't believe we did this, let's just not do it again. What do you want? Let's just go to bed. Let's just give up, this is not worth it. Let's move to another state where they have better music." Think about the failures that lead you to greater awakenings. I didn't realize how available all of these incredible concerts were in our home concert hall. Because I had a recording studio many years ago, I have recording quality headphones and a wonderful processor. And we're sitting there smiling at each other in our favorite chairs. And if either of us, because of our age, has to get up and take a short break, we can put it on pause. And I know at the concert we couldn't do that. So what I want you to think about is not money, but money as something out there that's a creative place to play. It's something you hadn't thought about using in a way you hadn't used before. If you're doing something with the money right now, do the same thing, but do it a little differently. I'll give you an example. Years ago, I used to resent having to pay my bills. I generated them, but I resented having to pay them. And so sometimes I'd pay them late. Sort of like, "I'll show you," passive aggressive. And I don't care about the late payment. You've waited for my money. And I thought, I can't do this. This is so petty. So I decided to pay all my bills in person. This is 23rd, 4th, all right, a century ago. I go to the bank and I go to pay my bill, and she says, "You can pay this by mail." I said, "I know, but I want to see the person that I'm giving the money to, and I'd like to talk to the manager." And the bank manager came out, "What's wrong?" I said, "Nothing, but I want to thank you for having given me the credit that I needed to make this purchase. And every time I make my payment, I want to say thank you because you trusted me." "Did you want more money?" I said, "No, I just wanted to say thank you." So I went in the next month I go in, and the teller knows me, and the manager comes over, there's a big long line. In the middle of the line comes over and shakes my hand. "How are you doing today, Bob?" And I said, "I'm doing really good." He said, "Well, thank you. Glad to have you here. You're one of our favorite customers. And every time you're ever here, the tellers always laugh and they hope that they get you because you always have fun with them. Because you don't come to the bank to pay a bill. You come to the bank to have a relationship with the people in the bank to have fun with. That's worth $1 million, but they wouldn't give it to me." I would with the power company, the same thing. I would write them a thank you note. And I kept writing them longer thank you notes. One time I sent them a list of all the things I'd used the power for that I was grateful for. And finally a representative called me and she said, "I'm not supposed to do this." I said, "What aren't you supposed to do?" She said, "I'm not supposed to call customers when they make comments like your comments, but I wanted you to know we had them up on the bulletin board in the staff coffee room." And she said, "We just sort of wait for them to see what you're going to do next." Why aren't you having more fun with your money? Because your money has an awful lot to do with you all of the time, not just a little bit at the time. Anytime you're going to give anybody any money, see if you can give them a bit of you. And anytime you take any money from them, see if you can give them a little bit of you. Because you're making room for more. The statement of consciousness is, I have a huge abundance heart because I can give as much of it away as I want, and tomorrow there'll be more of it. Why wouldn't you want to do more of that? So I want to move us away from, oh my God, it's money time, I got to pay the bills, it's January, Christmas, oh my God, you know, the oh my God is never a reverence, it's a horrible thing, you know, the horror of it. We want to transform that into, wow, today I get to dance with a quarter, I get to dance with $1, I get to dance with $100, I get to dance with wealth. Because a quarter is wealth if you can dance with it. If it's simply a smaller measure of what you need, it's an affirmation of lack. That's important to know. So when Judith got the check for $500 for the center, I immediately said, let's get an 85-inch television. She said, it's not our money. I didn't say that. Because I did learn when I went from a 40-inch to a 55-inch, the programs didn't get better. I learned that. So I'm good with what we've got. But I noticed when she got that, the joy she felt, that she was being cared about and that our ministry was being cared about and that people thought about what we were doing and wanted to be a part of it and that our family was growing. It wasn't the $500. It was a statement in consciousness. You're doing something right. You're doing something we want to encourage and support. We're a part of your family. You're a part of our family. We're doing this together. But what if every check you wrote had that commitment to it? If everything that you gave away had that kind of energy with it? And I make sure of that when even at McDonald's, which I don't go to anymore because I'm not losing weight, but I'm working on it. But you know, even with everything I buy, I try to find some way to make eye-to-eye contact with that person. That's changing your relationship with money, if you think about it. How many of you have a face-to-face relationship with your money? No, really. What I hear primarily when it comes to money is I sure wish I had more of it, which means lack. Or it's coming. I don't know when, but it's coming. As opposed to, I have more than enough. I have an account right now in the universe that is overflowing. It's an amazing account. And it's so creative because it brings me money from a car accident 20 years ago. It brings me money from an insurance policy. It brings me money from a piece of artwork that the person stole that I didn't know they stole, that they then felt guilty about, and 5 years later sent me a check because they finally got it framed. And figured if I had enough money to have it framed, they should have enough money to pay for the art. You know, it just comes from all kinds of places. So why wouldn't I want to have this idea of an account that is forever, forever, forever giving? Well, having coffee the other day with Judith, which is my favorite time of the day in the morning, I said to her, you know, I can't imagine getting up in the morning and saying to myself, this is it. Have our coffee, go exercise, ride 10 miles, by the way, on a bike, which is good, go to the pool, take a nap, meditate, watch some television, have some food, watch some more TV, maybe take another ride, go to bed, get up in the morning, have a cup of coffee. I shoot myself. That's a horrible life. See, my life is, I'm on the edge. Of course, some of you already know that. If you've been on my Facebook page, you know I'm on the edge, right? I go to Facebook and there's just 1,000 people out there that I can talk to that I've never had conversations with and I can have fun with. I go for a bike ride and I see creatures and critters that I've never seen before that are amazing, that I can spend time with in my mind, that I can create stories around, that I can play with. I know that my life is right on the edge of being the most spectacular experience that's possible on the planet for any human being to have. And every day I get another glimpse of it, a little more of it. My publisher calls me and says, we're going to get together. And I know that Oprah's going to read my book. And I know when she does, she's going to say, can I please endorse your book? And I'm saying, I don't know, let me think about it, but probably yes. And I know I'll be on a world tour. Isn't it fun to know those things, even though they haven't happened? And why wouldn't you want to know those things, as opposed to the other things you think you know? which is, first off, nobody sends their manuscript to the publisher and gets it published by the first publisher, okay, which I did. What, that you know that, but what is the good of knowing that if it undoes you? And so you can't know all these things that are limitations when you could know all kinds of things that aren't. And at the end of the day, one or the other is true for you. Today, Oprah has not endorsed my book. But why wouldn't I want her to? And why wouldn't I want to imagine her doing that? And having imagined her doing that got me thinking, and I was on the internet. And I noticed Michelle Obama had a Facebook page. And she was celebrating something. And I sent her a poem that's in my book, just because it fit her. And I thought, wow, Michelle Obama also will endorse my book. You see, you need to be able to have your own endorsement and allow the world to endorse you, to be where you want to be in the world. Mm. And it may take you an entire lifetime to get to what you want to see happen. But you're creating a space between your ears for that to happen. You're creating a space for that right now in the mind. Last week, I stood up here and I couldn't remember the title of my talk, Mind is the Maker. Mind is the maker. What you make up your mind to make, you will have in your life in one form or another. Right now, in my mind, I have extraordinary wealth in a variety of areas, none of which I've been able to get the account numbers for. But they're mine. They're mine, and I'm going to continue to enjoy them and let them grow. If you don't have accounts like that, you need to start making them. Some of them, one of them, a few of them, will awaken, and the numbers will come to you, and you'll be able to say, oh, this is the one. And that'll be the one you're going to enjoy. So, in closing, I want you to think about money, and I want you to have a smile with money. I want you to have a love relationship with money. I want you to laugh with money. I want you to start giving some of it away, like a quarter every now and then to somebody. You know, not a lot of it, but think about it. Think about even this center. And think about your relationship to money even in the center. And I'm going to just spend a minute with that. There are people who come here on a regular basis, and I don't mean here, I mean all the centers in our country. And we've had 4 of them. And the collection plate goes around and they put in $2, $3, or $4. That's all they have. I got that. They then go to McDonald's, buy a $3 hamburger, $2 fries, and $3 coffee. And if they really are hungry, they buy another $1.50 pastry. And they spend somewhere between $7 and $10 at McDonald's to eat food that probably they shouldn't have, that isn't going to nourish them. But you know that $2 to $3 for the center, that was over the top. I just want you to think about your relationship with money, and not to us, but what do you support? When you go to a restaurant and you get really good service, do you give a good tip because you want that person to know that you really got what they did? Or did you just come there to buy food? Because if you just came to buy food, you can get that anywhere. When you have a good experience, you want to share your wealth, however that looks for you. And I don't care whether it's the center or someplace else. Think about the allocation of money that you have for your life and the quality of life you want to support. That's the gift you're giving. That's the openness that you have to possibility. So I'm not asking for money, but I'm pointing that out because when I did this at Reading Church, I think we lost probably 20 people. I showed it. We passed out these little things that I made. They were really very creative. They were really beautiful. It was a coffee cup, and it was called the Reading Center for Spiritual Coffee Cup. We asked people just to give, we had 400 members, just to give every single Sunday as much as a Starbucks coffee cost. And we lost 20 people. And they left there to go to Starbucks. But it wasn't what it was about though. What it was really about was the mindset and the beliefs we have about money. We have become accustomed to spending $10, $25 for lunch. We're just used to it. We've actually that's what we do. We're not accustomed to doing that when it comes to church. When I went to the Lutheran church as a kid, I put a quarter in the basket and wished I could get some out. We never gave more than $1. We thought the church took care of itself. It's true in every area of your life. Ask yourself, what am I giving to? What is giving to me? And do I need to change my relationship with it? Because that's what money really is about.